Might. You never know. Okay. Good. How's that? All right. Today's a big day. They taste the fruits of our labor. We'll go through all the cases now. Some of them we spoke about. It's not on. What's wrong? Camera's on. What's he say? Some of the cases we spoke about already, and some of the cases we'll talk about today. Mitzvah Shem, and try to get clarity. And it's very difficult sugya. I say it's difficult because, like I mentioned, it's not it's a type of sugya that, for whatever reason, the poskim were a little bit not as I don't know what the word is, not explicit, but because we're very much on our own in this sugya to try to down each case. I suppose that kufa is the limit here, is that you're trying to on your own figure out which things are considered boine b'karka, which things are not considered one with the karka. And boine b'kalim, that's an easier sugya. The sugya we'll do tomorrow probably is it's easier sugya to a certain extent, because there's a lot clear gedarim and clear rules, and you have to fit into those rules. Here we're just trying to figure out what's considered a oneness in the karka, and let's hopefully be able to see out the shmai, and we'll try to clarify this in here. So first of all, I have here a list of about 9 cases. Then I have a new sugya, which I rated, which is going to, I think, confuse us even more. So let's first go to the A cases, and from those cases, the other day I already mentioned some cases. So those cases I won't go over again. But like, for example, one case is, let's say you have a magnet. Is a magnet something that there's a problem to put a magnet on Shabbos? Now, Stam take a magnet and attach it to a cleave is really no shiloh. And if you take, letters and you have a shiloh maybe of kaisiv, so that we spoke once, that the Pashas, that's already a shtickle fight. Maybe there's a Ramosha about this, that's a shtickle machber kapshuta. If you put letters together and make words, the Yisra on Shabbos is not making words. The Yisra on Shabbos is making oisias. So kapshuta to take, you want to, let's say you want to wish your wife a happy birthday and you want a good Shabbos. So you take letters, right? Good Shabbos, Gimel of G-O-D, Shabbos, or whatever. So kapshuta, that means that kaisiv, there's a makabi mekel, not our sugya. Shailas, but you're putting it on a fridge, and the fridge is considered like karka. So maybe what we say back then, we were mekel, I think. What? Background. I mean, we're mechalik. I think, anyways, there was a makabi mekel though, because okay. But don't want to go into it now. You can look up and tell me what we said. But upon it, it's a bigger shaila now. That was a shaila boina. I'm taking it, I'm attaching it to the fridge. So maybe it's a problem of boina. It's becoming one with the fridge. Okay. So again, nobody talked about a magnet. We're on our own, sort of. So you have to try and figure out, like, is this something that when one would look at it, he considers it to be one with the fridge? It's It's minanimnil. There's nobody that would consider it like that. So therefore, simple magnets and things like that, I don't think anybody would consider it to be baina. The case becomes a bit more difficult when you have magnets that are going to remain for a very long time. Anybody have a case like what? Which one? Okay. No, that's not for a very long time. Why would you can't do it on Shabbos anyways, I'm saying. Right. No, but how are you putting it on Shabbos? Besides the electric, what? Why would you put it on? It's going to go back on. It's a weird case. No, who has a case of a magnet that's a long-term magnet? What? Maybe even a picture magnet. Well, maybe if a picture magnet moves around the fridge, it's not. No one considers a picture magnet to be one with the fridge. Literally. No, there's no fridge. You don't think of any magnets. What? So first of all, there's a whole shaila about mezuzah. If you could use the magnet, that's mezuzah. What do we come out with him? Say this. Maybe mezuzah. Maybe mezuzah. That's not a bad case. You have a mezuzah magnet, and I was makel that you could use it to, if it connects to the door and it's not going to move, it would be. So what he said. It's not. I don't know if that's mosach chila. I don't know if it's mosach chila. But I'll upon him. If you have a mezuzah magnet, it's going to remain on the door forever. It's mamish going to remain on the door forever. So that is considered that type of magnets. Maybe that does have a shame of a b'nei b'karka. That's something that when you see it, it's something that's going to remain. Peldik and how am I going to say? But it's a pella? How could you say such a thing? What's the difference between that case of the Gemara? What's the case of the Gemara? The case of the Gemara is that you have something that's magnet is a force that the Rebbeinu Shalom was created in the world. K'may came, the Rebbeinu Shalom created in the world gravity. The same way that you have a big brick and you put it down and it stays and it's never going to move. And the Gemara says that that's an example of b'nei b'karka, because what's b'nei b'karka talian? It's talian it's surah. It can remain forever. Do we see it as on the karka, or do we see it as becoming a part of the karka? So if you have this magnet that you're putting onto the mezuzah, and meaning this is the mezuzah, and mezuzah is also halachically the side post of mezuzah. If you're taking the mezuzah with a magnet and attaching it to the mezuzah meisecha, what's the difference? It's chayr b'yaser. I don't see why it should be mutter. I couldn't think of too many cases. One case I thought was of mezuzah, and sorry. Oh, okay, but that doesn't matter. The fact that you have to take it off every 3.5 years to check, halavai he will. But Pekin and Zikha becomes one with the karka. What? This medrash 25 years, okay, this base medrash is machmir not to have a mezuzah because they're afraid they won't wind up checking it. What? Oh, they put it up now? Oh, it's a big. What? I should have asked for Mashiach. Okay, great. What? No. The nafkamina is I'm sorry, just one more. Nafkamina is I don't know. I'll ask the island what they think. If you have Velcro, you attach a mezuzah with Velcro. This one, right? So first of all, you yaitz mezuzah. I said back then in mezuzah that you are. Okay. I don't know if it's the most lechatchila, but pashas you yaitz mezuzah. I don't know. These in yonim are not totally in the regular. It's no question that toifer you're not over on if you diaper a baby with Velcro and whatever. Velcro is not the problem. But when you're dealing with b'nei b'karka, if you have something that the surah of it is of such that it's going to remain, so then maybe that does have a oneness with the karka. And maybe that's enough. Rabbi said you don't need anything. So Velcro is less than anything. It's mefurish that if you have a brick, a massive brick, and you place it in a place where it's going to remain, that becomes one with the karka. So Velcro is less than nothing. You don't need anything, and it's one. The oneness comes from just being there because of gravity. And if it's not moving, and that's what it is. So Velcro is worse. Well, it's a giloy, but is it? I mean, by mezuzah, like say for years. It's not. If it's a giloy, maybe. But in a case where it's not a giloy, so the reason why he does it is simple, because he wants to be able to take it off eventually in 3.5 years to check. But that's not a giloy that he wants to take it on and off all the time. I don't know. What? It could be. But again, once you see by taifer, there's no such thing ever that by taifer that you have to have something, which is bamis being mechaber b'yachad. You never find by taifer this thing that we find by boina. By boina, we find that if that target, what's the biggest giloy? You'll say, look, it's here and I didn't cement it down. So that's also a giloy. What? Why? I could have cemented it and I decided not to. It's hard because it's normal not to. So now the only question becomes on a mezuzah, is that normal? So if it becomes normal enough, so then it won't be a giloy. It'll be a giloy that he wants to be able to take it down in 3.5 years and not have to rip it down. I don't know. I'm very united that it would be a problem. It's tremendous. It's really negaya if you think about it. It's not like a crazy case because a Velcro is something that, because of its nature, it could get knocked off when a person's walking into a door or something like that. It can get knocked off. The haraya, and this room was, I think it's been more times on the floor than on the door. So it could fall off. And enough communities, could you put it up again? Even with a bracha, so a person would have thought, okay, Velcro, this will be an eight, I'd be able to put up a mezuzah on Shabbos. If you this, it'll be a major problem. It'll be a problem of buying it. Elamai, you'll say, I'll put it up and have the das, I'll take it down within 24 hours. But that's not enough because that we saw. That's a billion l'shah. Dainu, it's something mitzad the chefza that could last. And you decide mitzad the gabra to take it down. That's billion l'shah billion. So chayra, I would note that this should be a problem. L'chayra. As I've noted. Sorry. So again, something like this, the exact gedarim are not so clear, but it's borrowed. This thing could last for years and years. Well, okay, but you have to don. Let's see, we'll get to Luach. I'm saying let's don the cases I done first because that's too complicated. But this case for sure could last for hours, for years. It might not be boina because maybe you don't have boina material. But anyways, that's boina b'kelim. Anyways, right now we're dealing with boina b'karka. But so it's not the materials of boina. It's not sorry. No, but that's what I said. Something on a fridge, it's a mahus is something that you don't see as becoming a. No one sees a magnet on the fridge as becoming a chelik of the fridge. I'll give you an example. Like they talk about with the Chazon Ish of Aser pictures on the wall. The Chazon Ish Aser tapestries. The Shiur talks about tapestries, and he says there's no problem. And the Poskim will discuss that. The Chazon Ish argued. The Chazon Ish is coming to argue on everybody. He's coming to argue on the Shiur, Magen Avraham, the Ramah, everybody. But the Chazon Ish with his Rab Guvrei and his tremendous koyach, the Chazon Ish argued. But I saw some svarim. They take on pashit, like Rav Nissen takes on pashit, that the Chazon Ish would ask for pictures on the wall also. That if you have a picture on the wall, that would also be a problem of boina b'karka. He says there's no difference down in a tapestry. In lebaldin yeshlach, I mean, he's a nephew of the Chazon Ish, so it's hard to argue on him. But that's the Chazon Ish. The Fida Mishabur is nothing to discuss. It's what the Gomer, because again, you might have other problems. Okay, probably not. I'm saying if it's a very expensive picture and you're afraid to move it because it can get ruined or something, no, so you might have chasar in case. Let's say it's this picture right here. That picture is going to stay there forever. It's Shavisi Hashem the Negi Summit, right? It's going to stay there forever and ever, right? It's not an expensive picture. Okay, so Rav Nissen says that picture is a problem according to the Chazon Ish of boina, because just like the Chazon Ish said, when you have a tapestry on the wall, that becomes a part of the wall. So to a picture, like I don't like that. I can't argue on Rav Nissen, but I don't understand Rav Nissen. I could say that at least. Everybody says it's a picture on the wall, right? It's a picture on the wall. It's not something that becomes one with the wall. It's something that hangs on something which is on the wall. No one considers it to be a part of the wall. I don't think the Chazon Ish would have said that. A tapestry was aimed like our wallpaper. The tapestry was all different mitzvahs. It was something that was, sometimes you go to the old Svardish shuls and you see these things, like the ganze wall, that becomes the wall. There's no wall. That's the whole entire wall. I don't know. Later, I'm a bit. Later, we'll talk about mitzvahs in its own moment. A regular mitzvah, of course, it's a part of the wall. It's another part of the wall. Not as part of the wall. The derech normal of people is to nail in the mezuzah or to screw on the mezuzah or to stick on the mezuzah. So what? There's not a test. It's on the wall. A mezuzah is a part of the wall. The vada, we'll see in a minute. It's even enough in halacha, but a picture is clearly not. Because the pella, I don't know. I don't know. It's a pella to me was so pashit. I once said a shiur and I was talking. It was like pashit. I said the Chazon Ish vada. My example was like this. I said that the Chazon Ish avada. I was giving examples. I said, when it comes to a picture, everyone will agree that that's not boina b'karka. And I said, and what'll everyone agrees boina b'karka is if you have like my baby gate that I spoke about the other day. That there, when you put the baby, I got a sore falk. Rabbi Lieberman gave me my mokim there. Falk has a lot of cases. Some of them we'll mention today. And Falk talks about that guy. He makes the chilik that we made. He says a baby gate that you can't get in and out without removing. So for Shteitzel, that doesn't become one with the karka. The baby gate that I described, which the case we saw, the baby gate was, you mamish leave it there attached, and then you have a little door that you go in and out, and that could stay for mamish years. It could stay for years. That is the problem. Those are my two extremes. Again, that I found out afterward that when it came to baby gate, maybe someone to be maker, which I don't understand. And when it came to pictures, someone would say that the Chazon Ish would be machmir, that I don't say. I said everything else in between is what you have to fight about. What's considered batal to the karka. But Al Kapanim, I think everyone agrees that a magnet on a fridge is not a part of the fridge. It's mina nimna. It doesn't make sense even to say. So it's a weird thing to say. Mashen came by a mezuzah. So then here, that mamish now if they leave it there, that becomes mamish a part of the karka. Now the mezuzah itself is something interesting. I'll mention the Maimar Muzga. It's not our secret, but somebody had a shaila recently. I spoke about it last month in my other kaila. And somebody had a shaila recently, which reminded me, Taka, to speak about it over here, is that he was leaving his dira, he sold his dira. And they wanted to know who gets to keep the mezuzahs. In other words, the shaila is like this. They wrote in the contract that anything that's attached stays by the lokeyach. Anything that's attached to the ground stays. That's a very common nusach in the which I'm going to get to this nusach in a moment. It's a very common nusach in the shtar is that anything that's attached, that's considered a chelik of the karka, and that stays by the that will go to the lakeya, to the buyer. Mashen, anything that's not attached, right? Anything's not attached, so then that'll come with the moicher. That was so he asked me from the simple nusach of the shtar, what's a mezuzah? When I spoke about it last month in the call, I didn't speak about this shayla. I didn't speak with the nusach of the shtar. I spoke about the Achrayim discussed the etzim shayla. If it was not discussed, what's the din of a mezuzah? Do we say that it goes to the lekeach or the moicher? Now, here, mitzad the nusach that it says in the shtar, it's baruch Hashem mitzarayim. It's attached. So that goes to the lekeach, right? So it's baruch. Now, it happens to be that in halacha, there's a very big shaila. The place can discuss it. They say, okay, the halacha is when you leave a dira, you're not allowed to take the mezuzah with you, bein if you're renting, bein if you're selling. You're not allowed to take a mezuzah. The reason being because you're leaving the house without a shmira, and it's a very dangerous thing. The Shulchan Aruch brings down a Reish Sadi Aleph. The Gemara brings down a Bava Metzia Daf Kuf Beis. It's mamish a Chalila Koiver Banav, and a scary thing. The Gemara says. So you don't take Reish Mezuzah. You don't take down the mezuzahs ever. Okay, but that's very nice that you don't take down the mezuzah. Avada, you don't take down the mezuzah. But the shaila is who has to pay for the mezuzah. The fact that when you leave a dira, the halacha is that you're not allowed to take down the mezuzah because you don't want to leave this house without a shmira. That's very nice. That's the halacha. But there's another thing. That's all klape taking down the mezuzah, so you don't take it down. Okay, but now I could go to the balabas, the lakeach, the new renter, or the new owner, and I could say to him, the new owner we'll get to in a moment, but conceptually, I could go to the new renter, okay? I'm an old renter, and now I go to the new renter. I say, look, I can't take these mezuzahs down, either pay or give me my mezuzahs, right? Or you'll come back like a chihuahua, right? With a doggy sweater, owned by a woman who's not married. Understand, Rabbi? You could say that. No games, right? Because you're ganif. I have this all the time. People all the time, they make me crazy. They're a crazy thing. The guy, he says, I'm not taking down the mezuzahs. It's dangerous. And the guy says, okay, so these are my mezuzahs. Chas v'shalom. You have to pay. So you have to pay for the mezuzahs. Okay. In the end of the day, are you allowed to take them if he won't pay? No, you just walk out and say, roof. Right? But because you can't take him down. What can I tell you? Right? It's the wrong thing about it. So now the shaila becomes, that's all by a renter. That's all by renter. By a moicher, so now I don't take down my mezuzahs. I leave them by the lekeach. Now there's a new shaila. Who has to pay for them? That is a very big shaila. Because maybe you could say that since it's muchsuk that I can't leave it, since I can't leave I can't take the mezuzahs, so maybe that's included in what I sold him because I'm not allowed to take it. So he has the muchsakoyas on it. There are a lot of places that say that. In our case, it's even more pashut. Because like I said before, Imamish wrote in the contract, anything attached, the moicher, and I didn't realize a lot of the standard nuschayas in the contract are mamish that. Anything that is attached goes to the moicher. That's like a standard nusach. Anything that's attached goes to the lakeach. Sorry, let's get that one mistake in the shiur, mixed the oil away. But anything that goes to that's attached goes to the lakeach. If that's the nusach, and that was the case over here, oira, he doesn't even have to pay. No, I like that nusach because you'll see in a moment why I like that nusach. But upon him, that's why, not tachlis, that's why if a mezuzah falls on Shabbos. Right? Let's say a mezuzah falls on Shabbos. And sometimes when the mezuzah falls, all you have to do, it got knocked off the case, right? The back of the case is attached. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. The back of the case is attached. And sometimes the front of the case is just, wedged in. It's you know what I mean? Not wedged, what's the word I'm looking for? It clicks, I guess, clicks without a noise of a click, but it clicks in, right? It fits. It gets there. It's clicks in. So now, but sometimes it gets knocked off on Shabbos. So the piece is there, and the mezuzah is there. Okay, so the mezuzah we spoke about once. Is it muksa mitzad kisvei kodesh? But so let's say I'll do it with a shinoi, and I'll pick it up, and I'll just put it back, and I'll make a bracha, and I'll put it on. So that the answer is a vadanish. Okay, you can't do that. Okay, you can't do that. And you're not over on uksavta mamzuzah beisachah v'sharecha because you can't. You're a nine. But okay, you can't. It's a davar that becomes one with the karka. So much so, like you see over here, it becomes one with the karka. Okay? I got to think it might be muksa because we saw anything that's shimush is to be used dafka with the karka becomes muksa if it was there as ben ishmalchis. It wasn't oy midlatalta. So therefore, if the mezuzah falls on the floor, it's muksa. I can't leave it on the floor, so you have to pick it up with a shinoi or something like that. But the kapani, you certainly can't put it back into its place. Sorry? The guy is okay. Maybe it's a shvus on a deraisa. See what I'm saying is deraisa. So we're not making a mir la'akam to do a mitzvah, even if, to do a mir like deraisa, to do a shvus to shvus. So what could be the shvus to shvus? I don't know. I'm saying so. Well, anyways, it's only according to the Marshag that you might say al yidei goy putting it up. You want to be machabed the goy to put up the mezuzah. So the Marshag holds that it works. Marshag sheet is that it works. The other achreinim argue Marshag about him. It's nisht. It's nisht. But No, because he has no chiyuv to be putting up a mezuzah on Shabbos. On Shabbos, there's no chiyuv. Just like if a person on Shabbos sits his ribs, so then he's not over on wearing daled kanfis. The place can explain because he's no chiyuv of asulachem tzitzis. The whole chiyuv of wearing tzitzis is when there's a chiyuv asulachem tzitzis. Right now there can't be asulachem tzitzis because you're not allowed to on Shabbos. So besides, there's no isser of wearing the four-cornered garment without tzitzis. That's okay. We don't say mechanel but that's that. Am I going too fast? Everyone understands what I'm saying. Everyone understands what I'm saying? Good. Yeah. Good. Okay. Weiter. So like this. So. Okay, so they put up a sign on Erev Shabbos, not this Erev Shabbos, a few Erev Shabbos ago, like a pretty nasty one about somebody, like a pretty nasty one. They put it up in front of the shul, a pretty nasty one, and it wasn't even nothing to do with him. It's like a family member of the person, whatever. They put up a sign about him. What did I do? Because I'm related to that, but that was his. So he wanted to know on Shabbos, could he rip down the sign? It's pretty. I told him, let me just read it first. Well, it's interesting. These signs, Rabbi Hershel seems to be very expert in reading. So they remain for a very long time. They put them up, and then they put the next one over it, and then like 6 months, they rip down all the whole chavila of them, the ganze klaf, they all come down together. They stay for a very long time. What? Yeah. Here. Why do you think I brought this today? Right? It's about that, right? Sorry. Okay. So covered abrius is a heter, but only to do the rabbanans, not to do the rices. Over here, I don't know. This is a if it's a soiser, it'd be a soiser with a ticket. Just shy. Maybe not. I'm not live nice. What is this thing? I'm not sure. This becomes. No. I saw Rabbi the Fortiger, someone says like you. He says that it's not considered buying it to the karka. Even though wallpaper, the place can say is buying it to the karka. That becomes one with the karka. That becomes now the background, the mitzvah of the karka. But Mashenken, he says like you, he says the wall, this is not like the wallpaper, and it's considered something which is on the wall or on the board of the plakatim of the whatever. This depends how much of a Yerushalmi you are. What? So then it won't be. The only thing is that anyways, I would have done anyways. The shaila, I'm not sure. No matter what, anyways, maybe the shaila is not soiser. Maybe the shaila is kareya. When you take something which is pliable and attach it with glue to the wall, so then the shaila is just the shaila is toifer, and if the shaila is toifer, then to take it off, the shaila is kareya. It's kareya with a tick in. I'd be a little bit nervous. I mean, somebody there, goy can be make or goy become a brias. What? So if the nar is klapi kareya, it's a difficult bialacha and shimem about this, right? It's bialacha and shimem. He seems to say that he says what? He says this, it's not. What's his lashon? Which different matzkel is it? Where is she? Where's the seed vote? This right? Did Dalit? Second. What's the different maskell? Alright. Ki toifer in Yanayu lekeach shnei dvarim umechaber oisam leechad. The keinu ayidei divak v'nirali hu adin kishimedavik eitz leeitz ayidei devek kanoig when you glue together two pieces of eitz. So the eitzim it's also shaykh tefira. So the Mepharshim explain what is this? If it his example is from Kallus. Kallus is like a basket. He's not talking about two pieces of wood of two 2x4s. That would probably be a shala baina. He's talking where you have like strips of wood which you can make a basket, like a wicker basket out of. That type of wood is more pliable, and there Ketaka apply the halachas of taifer. So our case also would be taifer. Paper on a background, the would be taifer. What? I'm not sure. That's a shayla. Maybe one's hard and one's soft. You won't say the big needed when we learn. Maybe when we get to opening packages, we'll go back into these cases again. But there were those that wanted to be makel on opening up a lemon can, because what is it? It's a piece of paper on a dover that's hard. So maybe there's no toifer there. What? I didn't like that. No, I didn't like that. I still don't. I still haven't changed. I'm changing other things, but not in that. I don't like that. What? I say high school. Okay. So, Akapan, let me get weiter. Rabbi say, let's go weiter. Let's go weiter. So okay, let's go weiter. I don't know. The kids are to take down these posters. I guess they're posters. Right? These posters are taka. They're guy. You could be make like anything else. Later, I what? Sorry. It was one of the sparks. Or a piachar, we had 30 tzirufin problem. This wasn't the only tziruf. It was maybe one of the tziruf. Certainly wasn't the only one. But yeah. Now, by saying, okay, let me get weiter. So like this. I thought I spoke about a case from Hashkacha. So I didn't talk about a case. I have in my fridge. I have all different types of fridge attachments. Okay, there's the fridge. There's the actual door has shelves. You know the shelves on the door. Then there's the shelves in the fridge, and then there's the vegetable bin. You know the that's what my wife calls it. But the rest of us call it like a vegetable drawer. Right, the vegetable drawer. So that's the parts of the fridge. The fridge is considered karka because it's 40 saw. So now l'chayot should be just like the shilas of a svarim shank, just like the shilas of a svarim shank. That what's the shilah? The shilah is the svarim shank attack is something that you just place it down the shelf and it's not really attached. And now we said is deraisa because that becomes one with the karka. Okay, so what's the din of the fridge shelves? I realized on Shabbos that I might maybe have a big problem. And it's the one of the pots was sticking up and it was pushing up the shelf above it. But the shelf was still there. I'm not done. What exactly is that? The shelf is still there, but it was pushing it up. When I took it out, the shelf fell down. All right, so let's go one by one. The door shelves. What's the lumdus of the door shelves? The door shelves is what? Yeah, they're movable to make your own size, but this and for Pesach cleaning, right? But I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Is this? I'd say it like this. Kafin Klappen and Sugi we learned the other day, but Klappen and Sugi we learned the other day. Is it any different than like a Delas Almana? That the tsura of it. What's the lumdus of a Delas Almana? The lumdus of a Delas Almana is that it's something that but when I looked in Rafalk, I see that this is very hard sugya. To be conveyed local mice on things, and as far as that are floating around, I see back and forth. Yeah, as far as that he's not sure about and whatever. That's why I sort of didn't. I'm using a lot of his cases, but I'm not using necessarily a lot of his psakim. But it's very difficult to be conveyed. But Delas Almana is a sugya that you learn from Delas Almana that when you have something that does give me an impression of not just being a mukim of an opening, it gives me an impression that it's becoming kavua. That's what I learned in Delas Almana. I learned in Delas Almana that when I have a some type of a plank which fills up the airspace over there, and it's not nicker from its surah, that this is that to go in and out. And Hagam, you're supposed to go in and out of that Delas Almana, and people know to go in and out of the Delas Almana, but it's not something that and we saw even if you go in there under 30 days, right? That was what the Mishabura said. But it doesn't matter because the surah is of such that this could remain. And it's like a norm. So I don't know. Is that any different when you look in a fridge? When a person sees a fridge, what does he see? He sees something that this is the tzura of the shelf. The fact that first of all, I mean, let's go in order. Nobody kimat moves the shelves on the door, kimat anyways within 30 days. Anyways, unless something happens and it spills or whatever. Spilling is not a lumdus of something that has to happen. Spilling is not the norm. Something spills, you have the ability to do it. But it's definitely not the norm for a person to be moving the door ones. I'm very nervous. Those ones, I think are carved with their eyes. What? Everything is like that. The tritz box, they make the tritz box in a way that you should be able to open it. So then you shouldn't have to make a hole in your wall every time. Same thing with the air conditioning. Same thing with half the things we have. And all the places can say the tritz box is a problem. So I'm not that the door one is definitely a problem. So Falk also says that the other extreme is the vegetable bin drawer. So the vegetable drawer, I think, it's Matthias in my house. I think the vegetable drawer is something that you take out all the time, right? I think. And I think its ganze surah is of such that the way that people see it is as a holder inside the fridge. That's what I'm going to. What does Elam say? I'll accept their opinions. What? Sorry? Let's go first with the surah in general. What? Sorry? let's put it like this. Anytime you buy vegetables, you take out the drawer and put them in. What? 100%. Right? What? You don't take it out? Some of them, they don't come out. The ones that everything. I don't know. I'm noted in my fridge. I was noted that the door one is a problem. Is for sure a problem. The drawer I was noted is for sure mutter. I was noted. The shelves. I don't know. I'm nervous about the shelves. I got that the shelves is something that it's mamish. It's like not on at all. If you look at it, it's just like easiest thing in the world. But I wonder what I was doing is probably nishkaferlik. You just picking it up and leaving it in its place. That's him. So what is that? That's putting it back to its makim. Maybe that's like a door. Maybe that's like a door. Something goes up, whatever, but it's in its makim. Huh? Sorry? Yeah, I liked it. That was okay. But to actually move the shelf on Shabbos, I don't know. What? No, Del Salman is not the Raisa. But this is much worse than the Del Salman. I'm going to explain why in a moment. I'm saying it's at least the Del Salman. I think this might even be the Raisa, but at least the Del Salman. We'll see in a moment. I have it sad that this is worse. Once we get to the Sugya of Shimches, which we'll see in a moment, this might change some rules over here, but that's okay. Now I'll just give you an example. The drawer by me, the drawer in my kitchen comes out easier than the shelf. The drawer in the countertop, whatever, the drawers in the countertop, they just click right out. They come right out. Right? Sorry? They come right out. That's deraisa according to everybody. That's the biggest deraisa of all. The drawer in your, you have drawers inside your kitchen, the drawer. Well, you have the silverware. All you have to do is go like this, clicks right out. By me, it has like a ball, like a circle, not a ball, a wheel. Thank you. Very good. One of the most wonderful inventions. It just goes into a wheel. You go right in, it goes right out, comes right in, right out. The only reason it's difficult is if the stuff's in the drawer, so it's heavy. That's about it. Or if you're a little bit like not athletic, so you don't have to do it. But Batsim, it's the easiest thing in the world. Chaya is mamish deraisa according to all the poskim that ever lived and ever will live. Chaya. What? Okay, I'm saying, but just ones that come in and out. It's definitely the reason they did it is to make life easy and to enable it, etc. There's no shaila. That's a tzuras hakarka. That's a tzuras hakarka, Rabbi said. That's a tzuras hakarka. Or what? Excuse me? Saying what? Yeah, I'm saying, okay. I think it's bara. All right, so one sefer, he has a whole shtickle about it. I don't understand. To me, it's a palliative and dam the shaila. The toilet roll we spoke about. The toilet roll it's not negaya because it's muksa anyways, because they hold the toilet paper, right? Where could it be negaya? I don't know. In the case where it's negaya. I don't know why it would be negaya. What? So why does he need to put the thing? No, let's try and think. Maybe is there a case? Covered up Brias. What could be the case? I don't know. Why? Why does he want to take it out? What? His kid wants to play with him. Ellie, you said that in front of other people. You're lucky I didn't say a name, Rabbi Leibovitz. I don't know. They all talk about it. I don't know what in the world could be Nagaya because it's always going to be Aser anyways. He said Moksa. What do you want to do with it? What could be the case? That's not bad. You mean it's the last roll now, so Shadi covered up Brias. I mean, there's a guy in like the Dira next door, and he knocks on the door, and it's like 3 a.m, right? And it won't reach to take the paper out until like all the way. That won't reach. Because if it would reach, then maybe even now, that's a bit weird. But no, if it doesn't reach, right? And okay, that's not bad. So now the ancient geveg is to take it out of the wall. It's a very good kid. Very good. Very good. That hit the jackpot. Thank you. This Chiddush HaTorah will be Nikral Shimcha. No, he's right. So it's mamish shali covered up brias. He's got there's a bacher knocking on the door. It's an emergency. There's a bacher in the bathroom. He's screaming, crying. He doesn't have toilet paper, and you can't find anything. Can't find anything. No. So the kai govna, you have to take it. Okay. So for this, it'll be mutter because that doesn't become one with the wall. Yeah, everyone sees it as something that comes in and out, and okay, not bad. It's muksa, the toilet paper, and ripping it is going to be a problem for sure, like we spoke about back then. But I'll upon him if it's covered up bria, so I guess I'll use it without ripping it. We spoke about all this. I prefer not to go over this again. Yeah. So again, but me right now it doesn't make a difference. Clap at the door, it's also clap at the shelves. I think in the fridge itself. So the only nafkamina is the vegetable bin, and I think it's telling in the surah of those vegetable bins. The one that I'm describing, it's borrowed from its surah that it's coming out. It doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. That's I explained. That's like a del salmana. They also might have gone in and out all the time, but it's clear from its surah that becomes its surah of the fridge. Now the truth is, I'm going to explain in a moment shin ches, which is going to change, I think, a lot here and make it even easier to understand everything we say. But even can see what we learned. L'chayr, it's the short problem. The evil towel. The evil towel. The evil towel. Everyone knows what the evil towel is? That evil towel, it has a thing on it. It's the scariest thing on earth. Right? So what's the afkamina? There you want it. There, the towel is, one of the staples of Schleimer. So you want to take it out on Shabbos and put it in a new towel to cover Shabbos Kodesh. Right? Or the other one, it's a problem already. It's so wet. It's muksa machmas miyas and kofen nefesh, whatever. Schita, and all the other jokes. Akapanim to craft right? So the shayla is like this: are you allowed to open it up, Rabbi? Are you allowed to open up this thing on Shabbos? So I don't know. I'm a little bit confused over it. I see that the Orcha Shabbos Aser is a case. I don't know. He says because it has a screw or something. When you're in Bainim Bekarka and all these things, screw and all these things don't make a difference. If it's something that its surah is of such, screw is not a mila, not a mayred. I'm saying I'd comment that its surah is of such that it's clearly not something that is lasting. Sorry? Okay, is there any bigger tkiya than your bottle of Coke? The bottle of Coke, you're allowed to open the bottle. I don't mean to break the cap. I mean once it's broken open already, and you want to open up the bottle. You're allowed to open. Is there anything tighter than that? That strength is tkiya gedoylo. Right? It's sharm and true also, right? And then that's by the mutter. Why? Because it's meant to be opened and meant to be closed and meant to be opened and meant to be closed. So you see, tkiya is not exeris akatziv. When something is screwed on, it's not exeris akatziv. It's only when the tkiya shows us that there's a oneness. There's a oneness. Now, I don't know. The one with the towel, I don't know. I just don't know. I do a push it that it's mutter. I don't know. I just do a punch his mutter. I see he has a case he asked. What? Come again? Look, obviously, that case, I'm not talking about that, goes without saying that it's not meant to be one with the karka. He's saying that if it would have, though, a screw, so then he's saying it would be a problem. And it's the only way, every time you want to change the towel, you have to undo the screw. Just a moment. I don't see why that screw should be a problem. I don't see why. To screw that from the mahusa that you see borrow, that it's something. But I think it's like a bottle cap. Sorry? I agree. You're saying it should be mutter. You're agreeing with me. I don't know. So what? Why is he outside the toilet roll? How could you outside the toilet roll? Why would you don't realize they change it every day. Okay. That's even more. What I said is more scary. But anyways, Shine. I don't know. Then I saw another thing. I saw that Rabbi Rabbi, he brings down in the 1017th page. He says even a regular carpet might be a problem of Baina Bekarka. I don't see why. A regular carpet is not a part of the karka. I don't know, maybe I was reading it wrong. Ayin Sham. And the last case before we go to Shin Ches is no, once you have a regular carpet for Shteitzach, no matter how big it is, it doesn't make a difference. It obviously doesn't become one with the karka. Even if it's there always and what's enough kamina, it's clear that it's on the karka and doesn't become one with the karka. When we spoke about a rug and you tuck the rug under the wall and things like that, that for sure is a problem. That for sure is a problem. What? Sorry? Rabbi, sorry. What? Mamish not there. It's part of it. I have a hard time understanding the Chazanish, but I could be soivel. I'm shaking here. It's a rug. It's a rug. It's a kli on top of the karka. Where do you draw the line? A couch also. Me. Sometimes you have a bacher. He stays on the same place for 2 months. Right? He becomes part of the karka. It's weird. A shower rod. That's the last case, I think. That's what you wanted to talk about also. No, shower rod. So that shower rod, the is the ice. No, shower rod is something. They have these shower rods that what? If they, you just don't know how to do it. Sorry. Serious to be there, and it could remain and whatever. I don't know. What? What curtain? The curtain itself, no. So the curtain itself, that'll be totally in the Chafetz Chaim and the Chazanish. Okay, it's not usually negeh because usually they'll take it off and put it on. But let's say you have a case where you take the curtain and you'll put it on without removing the rod, right? Well, you have the ring. Usually nobody's going to do that. Usually they'll just take off the rod. But let's say you have a case like that, right? So that, like a parach. So that'll be a fight between the Chazanish and the Mishnah Berurah, and that I can hear is mutter because there you understand that was what we spoke about from the Chafetz Chaim. That's not considered a structure either because it's not a structure material or because you see it as something which is movable, doesn't become one with the karka. But the rod zikr becomes one with the karka. Why not? I don't see why not. No, the community is sitting in the toilet and you're looking at the map of the world over there and whatever, right? You get so into it and you just you start learning it up and then it falls down. It falls down. No, sometimes you wonder the guy left the table and hours later, you find out there's a map of the world in there. What are you talking about? Uzbekistan, Agistan. When I was growing up, there was only Russia. Right? Okay. So now you see all the mamish, the map of the world. And what's going to happen is the guy, he took it down. Now he's going to leave the toilet. No one likes leaving the toilet in a way where it's different than when he came in. Right? You know what I'm talking about, right? So now he feels all nervous. And there's a map of the world and it's on the floor. And don't forget, he's knocking on the door of Verizon over there with the toilet paper and there's a whole matzah going on, right? So the kol hapachas, he wants the map of the world to apply benibit, don't shine. The guy got no chayyur to put it back up. Chayyur misa. Chayyur? No? I don't know. Well, it's very negaya, right? It's very negaya. Levi Markowitz told me it's very negaya. Right? Levi just said it's very negaya. Okay. Adkan is the dvarim ha-pshutim. That's dvarim ha-pshutim, okay? I looked where Falk says some of the things I said the same, some a little bit different, but that's the way it comes out. Tachlis, if I make a sikum of this part, what were the cases we spoke out the other day? I didn't talk about them again, but Kitzer, a magnet on a fridge is mutter. A magnet that's going to stay forever is aser. A mezuzah that falls off the chayyur is a problem. The chayyur is probably even muksa. The rod is probably for sure a problem. The drawer taking out of your very negeya, the person accidentally pulls the drawer too hard and he takes it out the gamri to put it back in the chayyur is an issur deraisa. To put it in his bayina, to take it out is seiser. The fridge, I think, is zikr have to be machmer on the shelves for sure. On the bin, the vegetable bin, it maybe depends on each whatever he has. My vegetable one, I think, it could be taka mutter can sein. And kacha, das ist das. The picture on the wall, I think, is mutter. Sorry. The fridge drawer. That's what I'm saying. Okay, not everyone agrees to me, right? I'll give you an example. By me, I have a yogurt drawer, like not yogurt. I mean, like a milk drawer, right? And that milk drawer, because of the way it is in the fridge, it's very annoying to put things in. So it's the most normal thing in the world to take the whole entire thing out and to put the things in before you put it in. Okay, I'm getting faces, and I don't want Rabbi Amoyal's faces, but I'm getting faces over here. Kanira, he doesn't. Maybe he's lactose intolerant. I'm sorry? No, I don't mean that. I mean, he's lactose intolerant to the heter we're saying on lactose. But you should know when he makes a face like that, it gets me a little nervous because besides the fact that he's Morty, but these are shilas that there's no Gemara about this. We're trying to figure out what's a tzur of a fridge, right? If enough faces are made at me, and I'll be told that this is the tzur of the fridge, and you don't take it in and out, and even though I pump do, so then that's not good. I'm going to get in a moment to see if Sim Shin Ches. I might be a little bit more aggressive in different things I'm going to say, but so that one's not clear. We'll say it's not clear right now. But it's not clear. It's not clear. Definitely, if there's an oilim that does something. So it's not so clear. What else I tell you? The ones that are clear to me are clear. The ones like the drawer in a dust is clear. The one that the power rod is clear to me. The other way, the zichamutter. It's I'm sorry. So what do you want to do? That's mutter. I think that's mutter because I think it's in its place, and then it's mutter. I'll give you an example. Somebody asked me a shy like this. Oh, no, this one I saw in Rafal. This one I saw in Rafal. Rafal has a case there about the rug, the carpet, the wall-to-wall carpeting that we're talking about. And he says you tuck it under, that's a problem. He says what he said. If you tuck it under, it's a problem. It's not in Rafal has a sefer called Pia Pascha B'Chachma. They put out his psak. Very nice. You have a lot of these cases. But so one of the cases there is that the carpet you tuck under the wall. He says it's also to tuck any part of the carpet and whatever, it's a problem. That's what he said. He said, but let's say you have a part that every day you lift it up in order to open the door, to come in and out. That's the way you do it. Some people have this, that the carpet wasn't laid properly and you have to, you pick it up in order to open the door and whatever. Okay, so I understand that's like a chelik of the door. I don't remember what he says, but I would think it's mutter. It's what? Why isn't that what? No, because it's right by the door, so it shows you its surah is of such. Sorry? No, let's say you can't get in, so then you see it as such. You see it that it's meant that you can't get in. That's the case he's talking about. So I can hear that your case of the shelf is the same idea. I can hear the shelf idea is the same idea. You're not moving it out of its place. That's its usage. That's like a seer. It's kain the smar of its seer, up and down. That's how you use usage of such. But okay, so it could be a shelf in a fridge. It's a zikr like that. And a shelf in a. It's good shot. It's good shot. Saying a shelf in a normal usage of a shelf. It's nicht to say. Okay, yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm not sure. Okay, let me think about it. Okay, what? Yeah. So he's saying that shows that the shelf is not in its place. It's kivyachol, it's broken, and you're fixing it. Okay, give me a moment. I want to add the item one more svara, one more idea, and this might change our lives. It might be a life-changing psak. Adkan with Sif Aleph to Dalet Batson. From this point, we're running out to go and learn Kisa Kalim. It's a new sugya. That's it. But I had like a shiloh here. What about all this? A bunch of shilohs we didn't speak about, like the sponge holes. We didn't talk about any of those shilohs. The sponge hole. What else? Are you allowed on Shabbos? They have by Tashlich. A lot of the neighborhoods. Right? So they have these drains and things like that you open them once a year for Tashlich. Right? There's a bore in Chandi over there, Shar Chesed over there. There's a bunch of boyers over there, right? And they open it once a year. They open it. Okay, there I think one of them. You know which one I'm talking about? The one over there. I think it's got attached. But there's one over there which isn't attached. I'm talking about by the Shiur over there, by Chassidim over there, right? What? Sometimes used to open it. Used to do tashlich over there. Yeah. Sometimes used to do tashlich over there. Okay, but the shaila is you're allowed to open it on Shabbos. Okay, if it's attached by a hinge, there's nothing to discuss. It's a door. Every door is attached to the ground. Is a hinge. But let's say it's not attached. I remember I went last time when I was there. I was looking at it. And I think one of them, I saw two of them. I think one of them wasn't attached, right? And these were there since the time that Rabbi Yochanan and Rish Lakish were in Yerushalayim. These are Alta Meisim. So the kids are these are old things, right? So the kids are you allowed to open it on Shabbos? You're allowed to open Shabbos. So you would probably think that this should be an arsik, right? It shouldn't be given. It's part of the intrigue and part of the drama. It's not here. So where is it? So Shulchan talked about this already in Shin Ches. Okay? And that's very important. That means that Shin Ches comes before Shin Gimel or after. Who knows? Before. Very good. So it's interesting. Not everybody knows. But it's Shin Ches comes before. So Shin Ches comes before. That means in Shin Ches, I have to know the answer to these questions, and I can't wait till Shin Gimel to get there, unless he says go in Shin Gimel or something like that, right? Let's see what happened over here. This is one of the most interesting things. This is a game changer, Rabbi say. You should know, there was one sif we skipped when we learned Moksa. This sif. We learned every other part of Moksa from Shin Ches in the winter's man until Shin Yud Beis. Every sif except for this one sif we didn't talk about this year. Shin Ches Sif Yud is one of the most important sifim, but it has nothing to do with Hilchas Moksa, Be'etzim, Klape Ar Tachlis. It has to do with Hilchas Baina. What's the sif? Oh, like Samach Nishvisendik, like a whole new sugya. Kisrei bor v'dos, like sounds Yiddish, right? Kisrei bor v'dos, right? The covering of a bor and some other underground or some structure that comes above ground. The kids are the covering, manage these things. The kisrei these manholes and all these things. What's the din of these manholes? So Shulchan Aruch says, "Ein nitlin." You're not allowed to move them around on Shabbos. Elim kein yesh lehem beis achiza. If they have a handle, it's mutter to move them on Shabbos. If they don't have a handle, it's not mutter to move them on Shabbos. That's what it says here. The Shulchan Aruch here is talking mitzad like Hilchos Muksa, because but why? Because it goes like this: if it wouldn't have a handle, this is what's going on in the sugya. If it wouldn't have a handle, then it's part and parcel with the ground. So much so that once it's off, it's like a door that came off. Rabbi said this window, if it would come off on Shabbos, it would be muksa. Why? Because it's something that's oimid to be used with, not as a kli. So it's not something which is nittel. A kli is something which is oimid to be moved around as a kli. A window that comes off, any of the things that we've been discussing, which become one with the karka, the fridge. Let's say you hold that the fridge shelf is a problem, a beinus seiser. Come to Erev Shabbos, and you cleaned out the fridge, something spilled in the fridge. And now you have this shelf on the countertop. Okay, so right away you say, can I put the shelf inside the fridge? You say, no, that's a gomer. Maybe the rice, it's scary. You're making the tzur of the fridge, that'll be a shelf, the rice. The person says, okay, but let me move it around. Also, it's glass, I'm afraid for it. Okay, but you can't move it around. Not l'tzarech gufay, not l'tzarech mekoymai, not l'tzarech itself, not l'tzarech anything. Why? That's emstik muksa, that's muksa machmas gufay. It's something that's not made to be used in a metaltal state. It's made to be used in a karka state. So that's what's going on here. Comes again the Shulchan Aruch by us. It says, so if you have something which is like a manhole, that's the Shulchan Aruch's manhole. We'll apply this in a moment. But if you have some type of a kisui of the ground, so it says, if it has a beis achiza, for whatever reason, we'll see, that's called like a kli. So then you can move it around because it's a kli. That's why the Shulchan Aruch is here, no smoke. But if it doesn't have the beis achiza, so you know what that is? That becomes one with the ground. And then memela, it's muksa. The muksa sug is memela. The muksa sug is memela. I waited to get to here to discuss it because you can't understand the first part without understanding the second part. It's hard to understand, the second part without understanding the first part. The first part of this sugya is to be kaveya when something is usage is as an attachment to the ground. Once you understand that, so then you can apply it and say, so even if it's not attached now, and it's metaltable, but we don't say that that's called a double, that's nittel, and that's considered not a kli. It's meant to be not moved around, and therefore it's considered batal to the karka, and therefore you're not allowed to move it on Shabbat. Okay. So now let's read Shulchan Aruch. Now that you know this, Shulchan Aruch says the kisei bar v'dos ein nitlin elon kein yechlan beis achiza. If it has a handle, so then as muchachu kli, so then it's a kli, and it's no longer a chelik of the karka. Shal kalim, okay, that's not our sugi so much. Kalim, if you have something that's like a vat or a barrel or something like that, and a barrel has on it some type of a kisui, so then that's already a very big chiddush. Even though this barrel is attached to the ground. This is going to mamish change our whole world of it. Even if the barrel is you have a kli that's attached to the ground. Could you think of a kli that's attached to the ground? Anybody have one? Give me an example. You have one? Well, maybe a toilet. I'm not sure about toilet. Because the toilet is maybe has the hole in it. If your toilet comes without the hole, big problem, right? It's going to be your whole toilet paper problem can be much bigger problems, right? So what? Maybe garbage, maybe. Also, sometimes on the roof, they have these the water dudes. What are they called in English? The what? But not the duchemesh, even just water tanks. Sometimes people's water tanks are on the roofs. I'm saying mine is on the roof, so that's why I realized it. What? Well, no, but a well might be one big connect. No, here it's a kli which is connected to the ground. A well is not like that. A well is just one big dig all the way into the ground. A well is not a kli which touches the ground. But here it says awesome chiddush, awesome chiddush, unbelievable. He says that this, for whatever reason, we know the rule is anything attached to the ground is considered karka. All of a sudden, this breaks the rule. If you have a kli which is attached to the ground, so then the kisui of that kli. Listen to this ma'isa. The kisui of that kli, even if afilu ein beis achiza, even if it doesn't have a beis achiza, that's considered not karka. That's considered not karka, and therefore you're allowed to move it around. We'll have to see what these rules are. What is this? You have to make it right to use before Shabbos. Kisei chaviyas hakavuras bakarka needs a beis achiza. So Shulchan Aruch makes 3 chilukim here. Okay, 3 dinim. Din number 1 is if you have a kli that you attach to the ground. I'm giving you a fake example, and we'll use it in a moment. But you have a barrel that you attach to the ground, and you have on top of this barrel some type of a lid that you were miyachid, but the lid doesn't have a handle. So then that is mutter on Shabbos to take on and off. So obviously, if it's mutter to take on and off, the Shulchan Aruch is saying it's not muksa. So then obviously, what is it? It's obviously not baina. Okay, that's rule number one. Rule number two, which is also the same rule for rule number three. 2 and 3 are the same. If you have that same barrel and it's in the ground, but it was a kli beforehand. It's what's the lashon here? It's covered in the karka. You have a barrel that's not on the roof, like I said before. It's like in it, it's in the ground, and they dug out a hole and they put it in there. So then it has the same rule as any bor vados, any ichleisnish, a lid. That lid is usher to remove on Shabbos going to Seiser unless it has a beis achiz. Adkan. I look in the Mishnah here. He doesn't say anything about all the sugyas with pakakachalain. He doesn't say anything. What's going on? He doesn't say anything about the delas almanas. He doesn't say anything about 30 days. He doesn't say anything about if it's meant to be opened and closed. Let's pretend I didn't have a Shulchan Aruch and I wanted to don the shiloh of I'm about to change your world, Rabbi said. Let's say I was going to don the shiloh on my own. The shiloh of a sponge hole. Am I allowed to pick up the sponge hole of, the cover of the sponge hole on Shabbos? Am I allowed to or not? What would I do? I would go to, where's the talk about Hilchos Binyan on Shabbos? I would look in Shiur Gimel and I would start donning the shiloh. How would I don the shiloh? Let's don it together. I would don like this. I would say, all right, look, if it's something that it's attached by hinges, no, for sure, but then I would say, if it's something that's not opened every 30 days, it's not something which is opened every 30 days. So then I say, well, I don't know, if it's not opened every 30 days, then maybe I need a real aggressive looking tzura to show that it's a part of the ground or whatever. Then I say, let's say it's opened under 30 days. Okay, so then like we saw in Shiur Gimel, if it's opened under 30 days, we really didn't need that much. No, what did Mishnah Berurah say? He said, where is his lashon? He said, at Kamed, and it look, if it's opened under 30 days, as long as it's not a delos almana, it's mutter. Right? So I would have said like this. I would have said, look, sponge a hole, let's say you open it certainly within 30 days. I would say that as long as it looks like something that's meant to be opened, that's how I done. All of a sudden you come to Shin Ches, and I saw a lot of Achrayim, they make rules they make rules like this. They make rules. I saw one sefer, he writes that Avada Beis Achiza doesn't work if it's not opened once in 30 days. This Beis Achiza, no, let me rephrase, I'm sorry. They say a Beis Achiza only works if it's opened once in 30 days. If it's not opened once in 30 days, what's a Beis Achiza going to do? So that's one svara. I saw the opposite svaras. I saw svaras that let's say you have something which is opened within 30 days always. Within 30 days always. Right? All the time, like a sponge hole. Then you don't even need a Beis Achiza. So I'll give you names. You think I'm making this up? Here. I saw that the Piskei Teshuvos, he brings down that let's say you leave. Well, talk about a manhole for a second, okay? I'll get this sponge hole. Let's say talk about a manhole. You have a manhole, and the manhole is on, and it's going to be on for the whole year. It's going to be on the whole year until you do tashlif and everything. Once a year, you take off this manhole. He says, then a Beis Achiza doesn't work. He says the case of Rosh Hashanah and tashlif, if you said Rosh Hashanah took it off or something, they're or whatever. Right? He said, no way, you can't take it off. What's a Beis Achiza going to do? You take it off once in a year, once after 30 days. Beis Achiza doesn't help. That's one story I saw. Then I saw that I told you in that sefer that Rav Nissen Kaplan has in the back there. He has a halacha section, which I told you that you can't get today. But in Siman Nun, in Sif Nun, he says the opposite. He says, let's say you have short term. You have something you open up every other day or something. He says you don't need a Beis Achiza. You got what I just said? Let's say you have a sponge hole. He says you don't need a Beis Achiza. You open it up every other day. Me, if you ask me, I'm a simple Jew. When we read like is that when you read Ches seems to have rules are that if you have a Beis Achiza, it sounds like it's always mutter. Shulchan Aruch doesn't differentiate. It sounds like it's always mutter, even once in 30 years. Once it's Beis Achiza, it's mutter. Then it says the other way. It says if you don't have a Beis Achiza, it sounds like it's always usher, even if you open it every day. Right? What's this? It's like a whole new rule. It's its own rule. Floor covers are a new rule. I saw a Falk also in he doesn't ask it as a kasha. He says by a roof, an interesting svara. He says, let me give you my feeling over here of what's going on over here. And then I guess we won't go into my cases tomorrow. I'll start to share with cases. But my feeling is something like this. I was bothered also. All the cases we spoke about were like some type of a window, some type of a window, a door, something like that, a break in a mechitza. Okay? We never discussed cases of roofs. We made our own cases up, like the case of the Boyden, and we made up cases of, the roof that you could pop out and it comes right out, that maybe an attic, etc. It seems, this is my hergish, maybe I'm wrong, I don't know. My hergish over here is, you understand where I'm going with this? It seems that my hergish over here is that the Poiskin seem to say that when something is a floor, or maybe even a roof. The Falcon extends what I'm saying even to a roof. And that, I don't know, that it doesn't say the first, but at least by a floor, it certainly seems to say this. It seems to be that by a floor, when I look at a floor, the normal of when I see a floor without a base achiza might change it. But when I look at a floor is a floor. A floor becomes a part of the karka. Now, it could be you did something to give yourself an easy access into that place so that I don't have to dig up my house every time I need to go into the ground or this, that, or whatever. But when I'm looking at a floor, and I'm looking at even if it has a hole, a bore, a dus, etc., all these things, it seems to be that that's what it says over here in the Shulchan Aruch, that when you have a floor, the aleph base of what this is it's a bittul to the karka, maybe because a floor doesn't require a hole in it. So maybe the normal of how I look at a floor when I see something blocking a hole in the floor is it the part of the floor. You have outside, there's cars going over this manhole. And go back a little nostalgic to the time of Radenstedt, you had like agolas and the Baal and the agola and the chamors and everything, and the horses, they're going over this. What is this thing? What is this thing that's on the floor blocking the whole? It's floor. It's floor. The floor has the ability to get in. Okay, so that's what we explained. That's it. They made an access that you should get in. But what's its mahus? The mahus of this becomes a chelik of the karka. And that's its norm. The norm of this is how karka exists, like we find in Chazal. When you have a big stone and a big brick, you don't have to have it on with cement. If that's the norm of how this exists, so then we see it like that. I wouldn't extend it. Rafal extended it. I wouldn't on my own. I'm saying extend it. Rafal extended it even to a roof. What's Mishbur? An aruba shabagad. Yeah. Okay. I was nervous about the extension. I must admit. He says that even Aruba Shabagad. Yeah. Okay. I was nervous about his extension. Rafal takes this idea. I'll tell you in a moment. I don't know why, but Rafal takes this idea. And where's that? That's by Shin Yud Gimel, quoting, correct? Rafal extends this idea, and he says, let's say you have an attic. And I wasn't sure about that. That's why I haven't talked about this case. He says, let's say you have an attic, and the attic is, just a piece of wood, right? Okay, one that you pull out and it's on hinges, or actually these schmooze, right? He says, let's say you just have a piece of wood over there, and pop out that piece of wood, and that's what you do. And you go there and go into the roof, into the roof. He says that's awesome. Okay, a case where it's it clicks out, but that it's not. Now I wasn't sure. Maybe that's a Delas Almana. That's what I wasn't sure about. I was thinking maybe it's a Delas Almana. He seems to be more aggressive. He seems to say our city here. He tells it to. Now I could have heard. Not like this. Okay. Again, I'm just explaining what he says. It sounds like from the Mishabur, not like this. I think the idea is like this. A floor, has to be paved or you're going to fall in. A roof can have, I had two ways of saying it. I'll explain it and then we'll stop the shiur. The way I had to say it was, have to have, do not have to have windows and do not have to have doors. Do not have to have, listen closely, I'll change the nusach in a moment. Do not have to have windows and do not have to have doors. So therefore, when they have windows, when they have doors, I'm still going to look at it as the ikar function as being the floor or being the roof. A house must have a hole because you got to get in, right? You got to get in. So therefore, the tsura of a house is something that it's normal to have a door, and it's normal to have a window. And therefore, why should I look at it as being wall any more than I should look at it as being an entrance or an air entrance, etc. If you say that in Nusach, then it's the same a roof and a floor. I don't know if that's true, like you're hearing here. The Mishabura seems to say not like that. The Mishabura seems to say not like that. The Mishabura says that by a roof, you could also have a pekat chalon. I don't know. I'm not sure. I have to see the Mishabura properly. I started seeing that Mishabura for the shiur and it got me a little nervous. But there's another nusach you could say. There's another nusach you could say. The other nusach you could say is that maybe a floor can't have holes because you're going to fall in and get hurt, or worse. So therefore, a floor is something that can't have holes. It's a very different nusach. So maybe that's why Chazal had a tremendous chumrah when it came to a floor, that when I see a cover on a floor, my first reaction, without Beis Achizas, etc., whatever, my first reaction is, this is floor. This is floor. And once you say your first reaction, this is floor, so then it doesn't make a difference if I take it off every day. It doesn't make a difference, whatever. Now, come to gain Chadal, and they say, okay, but if it has a Beis Achiza, you have the actual Beis Achiza over there. So then that's the chiddush over here, that I don't see this as floor because you did something to show me it's a kli. Once it's a kli, so now it doesn't make a difference. Once in 30 years, once in whatever, right? And over there, there's not going to be a kosher and tying things or whatever. You don't tie. There's nothing to tie the floor to. So there, the Chazal came along and said it might be two extremities. If you have a floor is always a problem, even if you take it in and out every day. Right? Once you have a Beis Achiza, what I'm looking at is a kli, and then it's going to be mukli even once in 30 years. The svara I just said doesn't apply to a roof. The svara I just said doesn't apply to a roof, because a roof is something that, you can have a hole in the roof. It doesn't make a difference, right? You can have a hole. Meaning you can have that's the part I'm not so 100% sure about. Tomorrow I'll apply this l'maisa, but that's why it's a different sugya. My point is, I want you to know one thing. My point is, if you read Shin Ches, you're not going to know the rules of Shin Yud Gimel Pkat Chaloin. Which means for sure it's its own sugya. I'm just showing you today why passively. If somebody wants to tell me a different story, I'll accept it, right? I called Rabbi Yitzchak. I asked him, what's the shot in Shin Chatz? There's no mention. Shin gives Takis. The only story I thought of right now is this story. These two ideas. Either a floor is b'malchusa always batal. When you have a kisa, it's batal to the floor. So therefore, without a Beis Achiza, that is floor. Or maybe you'll say that a floor is something, like I said, that type of nusach. But the pshat is that you don't need to have a hole in the floor. So therefore, if you have one, we look at it first as being a cover. Same thing with the roof. I'll explain tomorrow the cases. The cases.